After 17 years of being the world's digital town square, Twitter as we know it was killed off, leaving millions of its users wondering where to go and what it all means for social media in general. But how exactly did we get here? Elon Musk acquired Twitter for $44 billion in a messy takeover back in October of 2022. Mass layoffs, reduced content moderation, and rising hate speech on the platform contributed to an exodus of users and the loss of nearly half of its advertising revenue. But the recent replacing of the iconic Bluebird logo with X is just the beginning of a massive overhaul. Musk has said that buying the company was part of his ambition to create an everything app, pointing to China's WeChat app as something of an inspiration. Their plan is to make X a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services, and opportunities. Hi everyone, I am Lorena Taboas, and to unwrap all of that, I am joined by Laura Ordóñez, Common Sense Media's head of digital content. Laura, not everyone used Twitter, especially really young users, but the end of it is really important. Can you kind of put into perspective why this story matters?
Yeah, this is not something new, right? There's a shelf life for all of these digital spaces, especially apps. We've seen it in earlier generations. In my generation, as a millennial, it was MySpace, right? Also, there is that weird crossover of Facebook where now you are seeing older generations using Facebook, but not so much younger generations, right? So I like to think of these social media apps as evolving, right? I mean, that's what's always happening. It's kind of like clothes, right? You wear the same clothes, things are in fashion, you're wearing them, and then maybe it goes out of fashion, but some of them stick, like the staples, right? So I think really why this is so significant is it gives an opportunity, number one, for other platforms to kind of come in and be a source of news, a source of where people can come to have a stream of consciousness within their own communities, right? That's really what Twitter did and was really great for. So it gave kind of the groundwork for other apps to come in and do something similar, but better.
So you mentioned when me and you were growing up, things were much different. We had one or two social media platforms that we used, MySpace, Facebook. But today there's so many social media apps, so many for parents, caregivers, and even kids to keep track of. What do you think is going to stick, especially for those younger users?
That's hard because I would say that depends on several factors, right? Right now in 2023, Gen X, you see them, they're keeping Facebook alive, right? Millennials are the foundation of Twitter, which may now shift to Threads and Instagram. There's a little bit of a crossover for millennials and Gen Z there, but Gen Z really lives on Snapchat and TikTok. And then you see a crossover on apps like Discord because that is so niche as far as why people are there. So I think new apps will come along in the future and that will affect the next generation that's where they'll gravitate. So I think it's less about what's sticking and more about what the evolution of social media apps can teach us and teach the next generation, right?
So speaking of kind of those trends and the evolution of social media, what it's becoming, Elon Musk has been very straightforward since purchasing Twitter that he wants to create an everything app. This could essentially completely transform social media as we know it. Can you walk us through what an everything app is? How could that affect the social media landscape in the future?
So China already has an app that exists like this. It's called WeChat. It's pretty much, as you say, like an all-in-one app, an everything app. So your social media, your payments, your banking, your subscriptions, your utility bills, food delivery services, your Uber, right? All of that in one app. Now, if you step back and someone would have brought this to me 10, 15 years ago, the first thing I would think is, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love this. It's going to make my life so much easier. But what are the cons and how do we navigate those, right? So right now, one of the biggest criticisms of WeChat in China is that it's really nearly impossible to navigate life without this app, right? It's all encompassing. That's a little scary. That's what we're already worried about here in the US about just singular apps themselves because we've seen what it means for screen time for kids. We've seen what screen time then translates into as far as mental health and wellness, right? So you look at that and you're kind of thinking, ooh, that's a little scary. And then you step back a little bit more and think, okay, there's one person controlling, or one entity or one company controlling one app that has all of our data in it.
So with all that being said, what is the takeaway for parents and even educators, even those that never even use Twitter? What should be top of mind for them right now, the way that this social media landscape is playing out?
So I would say first and foremost, you don't have to be an expert at every app. I think that's like the scariest part of it for us, because these apps are coming a mile a minute at us, and you don't have to be an expert at every app. Yes, it's important to know like general landscape of what apps your kids are actually using and may use in the future. Again, that's what we try to make easier at Common Sense Media with our ratings and reviews and our ultimate guides. But I think it's more important to really know the foundational elements that apply to all apps, right? So what does that look like? That looks like, data and privacy, navigating, social elements, right? So again, as we're trying to give our kids more agency and understanding of how to think critically about the digital world they live in, I would say the easiest way to start doing this is have conversations with your kids, not at them, but with them. You're essentially learning these spaces together. And at the same time, we're in such a really unique space right now where our kids are the experts because they're using these apps. So what we can ask them is to help us understand how they're navigating, not from a space of like, because we want to take it all away, but because we want to understand. And then what we give back to them is the same thing we give to them when they walk to school alone for the first time, when they take public transportation for the first time, helping them understand what we know about the world and giving them these tools to navigate it safely.
Some great advice for parents and for educators. Thanks so much, Laura, for coming on. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. You can find our ratings and reviews on commonsensemedia.org. Your help supports us in rating and reviewing movies, shows, books, games, and apps to help families and educators make smart media choices for kids. You'll find a link to donate in the episode description. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Until next time.